twice already.
Yeah, but it's like that.
Set the bar. I was hearing.
You're good to memory.
Morning. 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 Have you ever bothered to look into your parents' electrical bill? Well, for some of you here, you only get a choice in that matter. And if you had, I'm sure you've noticed the price of electricity is on the rise. Have you ever taken last year's electrical bill and compared it with this year's electrical bill? If you had, I'm sure you've gotten pretty mad to see you're paying almost twice the amount for the same amount of electricity. Well, that's just one thing going up because of our current energy crisis. Now, you must be wondering, what can you do to save money on energy and still have your appliances on, fully powered, and whatnot? Well, what you can do is invest into solar energy and get a solar panel or two on your house or your future house. As you all know, I'm a certified HVAC technician, which required me to learn about solar energy, how it can be used to power HVAC units, water heaters, and how solar energy affects appliances. You are all affected by this energy crisis. From the everyday items you buy will now cost more and more, and as time goes on, cost even more because the resources to make them and to move them are going up in price. So I want to take this opportunity to persuade you all to invest in solar energy and get a solar panel or two for your home or future home. Let's start off by talking about this current energy crisis. We are in what is known as an energy crisis. Now, it is not as bad as it may sound. There are no rolling blackouts or lacks of fuels or energies of any type here in this country. For now. But this can change. We are so wasteful with the use of our own natural resources, and we are not moving at a speed fast enough to a renewable energy source that can be found anywhere in the world. Right now, we are so dependent on crude oil to power our homes and fuel our cars. We use so much of it and are so dependent on it that if it was to run out or have an unforeseen shortage, our society would grind to a halt and recovery would take an extremely long time. To quote Matthew Simmons of Simmons International and Investment Bank, we have greatly overestimated the value and quantity of, Matthew Simmons. Quote James, John Dash of MA Cleans International and an international news organization in his article, we have greatly overestimated the value and quantity of oil that is found in the ground. In fact, in some sites, we've overestimated the quantity to 4 times the amount that is actually there. Which means certain sites there are a lot less than we originally predicted. And this was done in 2002. And this article was redone in 2010 using new 3D seismograph technology to remap certain areas and sites we are currently using, which we're finding that there's a lot less oil than we did before. Oil is used to create electricity along with coal, which are both non-renewable resources and can be very devastating to our environment when not refined, processed, or used correctly. We are using so much crude oil, the demand is going up and up and up while the supply is going down, down, down to the point that these resources may run out soon. Now, I'm not saying they're going to run out within the next few years, but if consumption continues on the way it is going up, we can see these resources run out a lot quicker than we think. When I was on a website, the NYSE, which monitors the New York Stock Exchange's web trades and whatnot, but they're not affiliated with the New York Stock Exchange, I found that the price of oil has been going up and down. What quite a lot. Matter of fact, in 2005, oil cost $60 a barrel in the United States. Then in 2008, oil went up to $111. And then that same year, a little later, 2008, oil went back down to $61 again. On top of that, oil just kept going up and down to this current day, to where we're having over $100 a gallon again. Oil has such a hold on our society. We are so dependent on it that when it goes up, everything we buy and use goes up with it, which makes life difficult for everybody. And sadly, we do have renewable resources, but we do not use them. We have resources like solar, wind, sea power, nuclear, geothermal, but they are not used at scales needed to match or surpass the use of our non-renewable fossil fuels. And if those resources were to suddenly run out or have an unforeseen shortage, we would not be prepared for those ramifications. Things would happen that we would not be prepared for. So now I've talked a little bit about this energy crisis, let me tell you about some of the causes of this crisis. There are many causes for our current energy crisis. Now, this isn't because of factors not using, processing, or refining 100% of these materials. No, this is because of the average person and our technology, because it's getting antiquated. For instance, how many of you here have come to the school today in your car by yourself, or drive to a store to get an item you never needed in the first place, and you could have walked there? Or leave an appliance on, like a light, leave the room, then never go back to turn it off. Or have multiple appliances on, use one, really forget the other one's even there. We all do these things. Every little thing wastes electricity, oil, what have you. And our aging infrastructure is just as big as to blame as all of us. Our homes and businesses are getting older, and the technology in them is even older and not properly maintained. How many of you maintain your HVAC equipment? Probably none. That can waste whatever fuel type you're using. Whatever type of fuel you're using, whether it be in oil, gas, electric, coal, when not maintained properly, you're going to need more of that to do the same thing you want. You give me an example of a oil furnace. When it's not maintained correctly, an oil furnace will have incomplete combustion, which oil will start spilling into the combustion chamber itself, which then can start a fire, explode, so now you got a problem with your own right there. Oil can be taken out the flume and dumped back into the environment that isn't reused, which can kill wildlife, destroy the environment, and since the system's not doing complete combustion, you produce carbon monoxide, which can kill you. You never know what's there. And since the system isn't doing complete combustion, it requires more energy of that fuel source, whether it be oil or what have you, to do what you are wanting, to heat up. So now you need more to use for a system that can only do less, which is adding to this problem. So I talked about a little bit about this energy, talked about the causes of our energy crisis. Let me tell you about what you can do to reduce the amount you're consuming and adding to this ever-growing problem. There are many things you can do to reduce the amount you're consuming and adding to this problem. And it can be just as easy as reducing or changing your habits a little bit, your daily habits. Yes, it can be a little inconvenient, like unplugging your appliances when you're not using them, or use one appliance when you're using them to do what you're doing. You don't like that. But if you're not interested in changing your habits around, what you can do is invest in solar energy to get a solar panel for your house. One solar panel, properly sized, can power your hot water heater alone. Heating hot water can be a very expensive thing to do, and keeping it at that temperature can be very expensive with it. And when that hot water heater is done, that solar panel, if it's still bright outside, will still produce the electricity, but instead of being used by the hot water heater, it'll power other appliances like your DVD player, or TV, like your water pot, what have you. If you had enough solar panels on your house and your energy demands were practical, you're going to end up taking your house out of the equation of how much energy is being used, and to the point you roll back your electric meter and you start generating electricity. Which means now you're going to start making some money because the power company now has to pay you for generating the electricity, which can be very good. And since you're consuming less resources, you're lessening the amount you're adding to our current demand for non-renewable resources, helping the environment, and maybe you're making a little money in the process too. So, It's always something to throw out. And to quote James N. Higgins in his book, Your Solar Power Future, you can use solar energy at the same or less cost than coal, and it's better for the environment too. There are many petitions going on around that you can sign to help support the use of solar power energy, or help make it a state or local code for all new constructions, whether it be new, existing, to have solar panels on them. For example, have you ever been, I'm sure you've all been in a grocery store. You've seen all the lights in there. It consumes a lot of electricity, and the amounts, and the roofs, all that's on there is little HVAC units, nothing much there. If those roofs were to have solar panels on them, a lot of those lights would be powered by themselves, and those buildings would not be consuming as much of our non-renewable resources, which there are a lot of those in our country, and if all of them had solar panels on them, there would be a noticeable drop in demand for our resources. One petition that's going on around there is called the COP16, which wants to make solar panels a new hot topic for an upcoming election, and wants to make it for all new congressmen or meetings that go on as a new topic to talk about in future discussions. Now, you got to be careful of these petitions you sign. Some may say, oh, we want to do this, support solar panels, but secretly back in the fine print, it's going to say we support something you may disagree with 100%, but since you didn't agree and sign for it, you're not supporting it. So you got to read what you're signing into. You can also write your congressman asking, what are you doing to promote clean, renewable energy sources? Will that work? Will it help? I don't know. But trying helps, and every little bit you do can make a difference. Even if it is just unplugging your appliance when you're done using it. Every little bit counts. And a little fun fact, there are now laws in pretty much every state which says no local, state, private owner can forbid you from having solar panels or any clean renewable energy source built onto your house, property, anything. Government started to become very proactive in using non-renewable resources to extend very proactive in using renewable energy sources to extend our non-renewable resources. In conclusion, we are in what is known as an energy crisis. Our resources are starting to become more scarce while the demand for them is getting higher and higher and higher. There are many causes to this because of our aging infrastructure that isn't maintained properly and just wasteful usage. But what you can do to reduce the amount you're consuming and help reduce the amount of this problem is invest in solar energy and get solar panels for your house. Because they can help produce the electricity and help the environment too. And especially nowadays, with the price of energy on the rise, it would be nice to know that you will not be feeling the brunt of these price hikes because you'll be getting free energy from the sun, which will be circling our planet for as long as it and our planet exist. Thank you. I messed up. I had one good quote, and I just cannot remember it. And I remembered it the entire time, and as soon as I got there, I forgot about it.
Can't remember it now.
See, now, it's Smith and International Investment Bank. Oh, yeah, now I remember it. Which what it says is our global economies thrive on abundant, cheap energy sources, whether it's oil, coal, what have you, and foreseeable shortages are its greatest weakness. Our original estimates of the Middle East have been greatly overestimated to where there is nowhere near as much oil as there was before, which is now probably sparking a lot of these price hikes because there's not much there. We're starting to panic.
Can I ask?
Yeah, I remember it. As soon as I was done, I remembered
Well,
it.
because now he's not under the gun now, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
I tried getting up, I was constantly thinking of the guy after that, John Dash.
So what we have is we have 4 for time.
I hate that. That was bad. That was a good quote too.
Is this part of your conclusion or?
No.
4 for time.
I don't
The 4 for paperwork. And 5 for tape.
That was bad. That's a good quote, would have really helped too.